People don't have to understand anything. If there is somebody who has leadership qualities, who is interested in this, and he sees that pattern, he can take advantage of that in the best way or the worst way. But they don't have to do anything. Nobody has to understand anything. Nobody has to come to my conferences, or nobody has to read a book. People shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. You know that every speech by some politician will say, we must have health care for everybody. We should do this. We have to do this. Should, have, would, could. They're meaningless. People don't take action because of that. They would maybe take some action if they could understand something. But they don't understand it. What you understand first is what you can touch and what keeps you alive and your family and things like that. The bigger patterns you have to really make entertaining and seductive and clear. Nobody's doing that. You can't proclaim that something should happen. It doesn't have to happen. The world has never happened because it should happen that way. Things grow together or they don't. Things have one government or two. Venice, where I met you, was a very powerful city-state, the most powerful city-state until maybe Singapore. And the model of a city-state is now Singapore, it was Venice. That doesn't mean we should have more city-states. It doesn't have to be this way, or it has to be that way. If we let things happen, there will be more population that are between all those cities on the urban crescent because it's more convenient. And maybe there'll be a fast transportation line that goes between those cities. And maybe that will culturally bring them together and financially bring them together. And more people will move in there and off the countryside, and the environment might be better. And they'll be growing less tobacco and more of something else. But they don't have to do that. Now, a leader might decide to make this understandable. Obama was given the offer by me, by people who know him and know me, that I would make the healthcare issue understandable. I've done a book called Understanding Healthcare, and you've seen it. And it is understandable. Or I would make any one issue, as he ran after he was nominated. During his campaign, I said I would make any one issue understandable, free. I wasn't taken up on it. Because that is not the desire of people in power. My fable is a fable. The commander-in-chief would never have a secretary of understanding. He'd have a secretary of propaganda. There's a difference between propaganda and understanding. I was invited when Tom Daschle was head of the Senate or the Congress, Senate, I think. He invited me to come to Washington and give a talk to all his aides and the top aides in the Senate of all the committees about information architecture. And I talked to him about it, and in the end, he basically said, no, what we really want is propaganda. What we really want is, that's not his words, what he said was, we have a point of view on this issue, we want to make fun of their point of view and make ours. Can you do cartoons like that? Can you do cartoons like that? That make the Republicans seem funny in what they're doing and what we're doing understand, like an idea.
Goebbels did it too.
Well, of course, that's what Goebbels did. I know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, you're asking me a question about the urban crescent and what has to happen, and I will go back that if you, in a most fundamental, clear sense, make it understandable, not with opinion, but with the truth, and the truth will make the future patterns powerful, the future potential patterns powerful, which is what I want to do with 1920-21. I am not trying to change cities. You're talking about change, constructive change. I'm saying I want constructive clarity. From constructive clarity, the truth, I believe things will change. Some truths are so powerful that people rally behind them. what was a truth that was visible? The sit-in in the South. Anybody, black or white, going into a place and being served. That picture of people sitting at a lunch counter was a hell of an invention, because it said so many things, and yet it just was the truth. And it wasn't somebody on a platform saying we should all be served food in the same restaurants. It was a visual image of what we couldn't deny. You can't deny it. You can't deny that that is the truth, right? And I'm interested in undeniable truth that presents itself, not propaganda that shades the truth. And the truth has to be the best truth we know at the moment, and that we might have another truth later on. Because truth is not necessarily fact. It's just the best you can do at the time. I mean, I certainly can understand people for a long time believing that the earth was flat and the sun went around the earth. Why wouldn't you believe that? But you have to have some very clear demonstrations to change your belief system. You know, it's hard to believe in an atom when you can't see it. It's hard to believe in things that you can't touch. And yet, I didn't look at the Wall Street Journal this morning, but I'm convinced either on the front page or someplace in the newspaper there's an article that mentions $1 trillion. If in the year 0, somebody opened a mom and pop Jewish delicatessen, and they were blessed with extremely long life, but not very good business sense. And they opened up this sort of 7-Eleven, and maybe in Roman numerals, right? And the first year they were open, they lost 1 million shekels every day. So at the end of the first year, they were 365 million shekels in debt. There was no interest, because it makes the story too complicated. And every year, they lost 1 million shekels a day. And in a leap year, they lost 366 million shekels. Now, they kept the store open anyway. They had a very friendly banker over the centuries. And they find themselves in 2009. The store is still open. They've lost 1 million shekels every single day of every single year since the year 0. They'd have to keep open for another about 270 years to lose 1 trillion shekels. That story is not meant to tell you how much 1 trillion is, but it's to tell you how little you know what 1 trillion is. And if you can lose $1 million a day for 2,272 years, you know $1 trillion is a number you just can't throw around in a headline of a newspaper. But that's the truth. So I question what people tell me. And I question when they tell me a number, or if they tell me something they think is a fact, or some program that solves things, or something about an animal, or a vegetable, or a mineral, or healthcare, or history, or the cosmos, or astronomy, or architecture. I think of whether it touches my truth. Most architecture today is done for the photo of the outside, the styling. And we know, you know in your heart, you're not an architect. I am. But we both know in our heart that whatever building, how good it looks on the outside, a great building is better inside. And most of the things we're photographing are not great inside. And great architecture is about the making of space, the thoughtful, creative making of space and place. And at Venice, where we met again, the Piazza San Marco is better than the buildings that surround it. That very often, it's the space between the notes that makes the music. The Chinese say there are 200 different kinds of silence. So I'm interested in the opposite of things, to find out what my truth is.